Most people think the solution to financial stress is simple. Earn more money. It sounds logical. If income increases, pressure should decrease. But in practice, for the majority of people, the opposite happens. Income goes up, but financial stress stays the same or even increases. The reason is not income. The reason is behavior, specifically lifestyle inflation. This is the pattern where every increase in income leads to an increase in spending, often at the same or even higher rate. As a result, the financial position does not improve. It stabilizes at a higher level of consumption, but not at a higher level of wealth. At the beginning, the change is almost invisible. A small raise leads to small upgrades, slightly better groceries, more frequent eating out, higher quality clothes, maybe a subscription that previously felt unnecessary. Each decision feels justified because it is proportional to the increase in income. Nothing looks excessive. But these changes are not temporary. They become permanent. And that is where the system starts to shift. The key concept here is baseline. Your baseline is your normal level of spending required to maintain your current lifestyle. When income increases and spending follows, the baseline moves up. Once it moves, it rarely comes down. This means your new level of expenses becomes your new minimum requirement for survival. You're no longer operating with flexibility. You're operating with obligation. Now, consider how this compounds over time. Let's take a simple example. A person earns $3,000 per month and spends $2,500, saving $500. Then their income increases to $4,000. Logically, savings should increase to $1,500. But what actually happens is spending increases to $3,700. Now savings are only $300. Income increased by $1,000, but savings decreased by $200. This is not a rare scenario. This is typical behavior.
The mechanism behind this is not random, it is predictable. Human behavior prioritizes immediate comfort over long-term gain. When income increases, the brain looks for ways to convert that increase into immediate improvement in lifestyle. This creates a loop where financial gains are immediately consumed rather than accumulated. A major driver of this behavior is fixed costs. Fixed costs are expenses that repeat regularly and are difficult to reduce quickly. Housing, car payments, insurance, subscriptions. These costs define your financial structure. Once they increase, they lock you into a higher level of spending. Unlike variable expenses, fixed costs cannot be adjusted easily. This is why lifestyle inflation becomes dangerous when it affects fixed categories. Housing is the largest factor. When income increases, people upgrade where they live. A bigger apartment, better location, more amenities. This feels like progress, but financially it is a long-term commitment. If rent increases from $1,200 to $2,000, that is an additional $800 per month. That is $9,600 per year. Over 10 years, that is $96,000. And this does not include rent increases over time. This single decision can absorb most of the income growth. The same applies to cars. A reliable car is replaced with a financed vehicle. Monthly payment, $400 to $700. Insurance increases. Maintenance increases. Total cost can easily reach $800 to $1,000 per month. That is $12,000 per year for a depreciating asset. This is not neutral. This is a negative return decision.
Now add recurring expenses. Subscriptions, memberships, digital services. Each one feels small. $10, $15, $20, but they accumulate. 10 subscriptions at $15 each is $150 per month. That is $1,800 per year. Over 20 years, without even investing, that is $36,000 spent. If invested at 8% annually, it becomes over $80,000. Small decisions, repeated consistently, create large financial outcomes. Lifestyle inflation is not about one big mistake. It is about a pattern of small, consistent increases that permanently raise your cost of living. The problem is not visible immediately because income increases at the same time. The system feels balanced, but the long-term effect is that no margin is created. Margin is the most important concept in personal finance. It is the difference between income and expenses. Wealth is built from margin. If margin is zero, wealth is zero, regardless of income level. A person earning $10,000 and spending $10,000 is financially stagnant. A person earning $3,000 and saving $1,000 is building wealth. Lifestyle inflation destroys margin because it scales expenses with income. It ensures that no matter how much you earn, your financial position does not improve. This creates a situation where income becomes irrelevant. The system absorbs all gains. Another key factor is social comparison. Spending behavior is heavily influenced by environment. When people around you upgrade their lifestyle, it resets your perception of what is normal. Social media amplifies this effect. You are constantly exposed to curated versions of other people's lives, expensive vacations, luxury items, high-end living. What you do not see is debt, lack of savings, or financial instability. You only see consumption.
This creates pressure to match that level, not because of necessity, but because of perception. The brain interprets repeated exposure as a standard. This leads to spending decisions that are not aligned with financial goals, but with social positioning. There is also a psychological mechanism called hedonic adaptation. When you upgrade your lifestyle, the increase in satisfaction is temporary. Very quickly, the new level becomes normal. What once felt like luxury becomes expected. This means that each upgrade provides diminishing returns in terms of happiness, but a permanent increase in cost. For example, moving from a basic apartment to a luxury apartment feels significant at first, but after a few months it becomes standard. The emotional benefit disappears, but the financial cost remains. To regain that feeling, another upgrade is needed. This creates a cycle of continuous consumption. Now, consider opportunity cost. Every dollar spent is a dollar not invested. This is not abstract, this is measurable. If you spend $500 per month on lifestyle upgrades instead of investing, at 8% annual return over 25 years, you lose approximately $475,000 in potential wealth. This is the hidden cost of lifestyle inflation. It is not just what you spend, it is what that money could have become. Compounding is the mechanism that makes this significant. Investment returns generate returns on previous returns. Over time, this creates exponential growth. But this only works if money is invested consistently. If lifestyle inflation absorbs that money, compounding never starts.
Another issue is financial fragility. When expenses increase to match income, there is no buffer. Any disruption in income creates immediate stress, job loss, reduced hours, unexpected expenses. Without margin, there is no resilience. This leads to reliance on debt. Debt often appears as a solution, but it is a consequence. When lifestyle exceeds sustainable levels, debt fills the gap. Credit cards, loans, buy now, pay later services, these allow consumption to continue temporarily, but they increase long-term obligations. Now the system becomes more complex. Not only are you maintaining a high lifestyle, but you are also servicing debt. This reduces future margin even further. Interest payments consume part of your income. This creates a feedback loop where financial position deteriorates over time. Let's compare two scenarios. Person A increases lifestyle with every raise. Person B keeps lifestyle stable and invests the difference. After 5 years, Person A has a visibly better lifestyle, better apartment, better car, more consumption. Person B appears conservative, but after 15 years, the situation reverses. Person B has accumulated significant assets. Person A is still dependent on income. After 25 years, the difference becomes extreme. Person B has financial independence or is close to it. Person A must continue working to sustain their lifestyle. The difference is not intelligence or income, it is behavior.
Now, consider time. Lifestyle inflation delays wealth building. The earlier you invest, the more powerful compounding becomes. Delaying investing by 10 years can reduce final wealth by more than half. If lifestyle inflation consumes your early income increases, you lose the most valuable time period for compounding. Another important factor is identity. Spending is often tied to self-image. People use consumption to signal success. This creates a conflict between appearance and reality. Financially strong individuals often appear modest, while financially unstable individuals may appear wealthy. This is because visible consumption is not the same as actual wealth. Wealth is not what you spend, it is what you keep and grow. Lifestyle inflation prioritizes appearance over accumulation. This leads to a situation where individuals look successful but have no underlying financial security. Now, let's examine the structure of expenses. Expenses can be divided into 3 categories: fixed, variable, and discretionary. Fixed expenses are the most dangerous in lifestyle inflation because they are difficult to reverse. Variable expenses are easier to adjust, but they still accumulate. Discretionary expenses are often the first to increase with income. A common mistake is focusing on cutting small expenses while ignoring large structural decisions. Reducing small purchases has limited impact if housing and transportation costs are high. The biggest financial decisions are made in a few categories: housing, transportation, and recurring commitments define the system.
Now consider a more detailed example. A person receives a $2,000 monthly increase in income. Instead of allocating this to investments, they upgrade their lifestyle. Rent increases by $800. Car costs increase by $500. Subscriptions and daily spending increase by $300. Total increase in expenses, $1,600. Remaining margin, $400. If that $2,000 had been invested monthly at 8% for 20 years, it would grow to over $1.1 million. Instead, only $400 is invested, resulting in approximately $220,000. The difference is nearly $900,000. This is the real cost of lifestyle inflation. Now consider inflation and external factors. Costs increase over time regardless of your decisions. If your lifestyle is already maximized, external increases create pressure. Without margin, even small increases in cost can destabilize the system. Now, the solution is not extreme restriction. The solution is control and intentionality. First, income increases should not automatically trigger spending increases. This requires a rule. A portion of every increase is allocated to investment before lifestyle changes. Second, fixed costs should be controlled aggressively. Housing and transportation decisions should be made with long-term flexibility in mind. Lower fixed costs create optionality. Third, automation is critical. Investing should happen automatically. If money is left available, it will likely be spent. Automation removes the need for constant decision-making.
Fourth, tracking is necessary. Most people underestimate their expenses. Without accurate tracking, lifestyle inflation goes unnoticed. Data creates awareness. Fifth, delay is a powerful tool. Introducing a delay between desire and purchase reduces impulsive spending. Many purchases lose their appeal over time. Sixth, define a target savings rate. Instead of saving what is left, allocate a fixed percentage of income to savings and investments. This creates consistency. Seventh, focus on net worth, not lifestyle. Net worth measures financial position. Lifestyle measures consumption. The two are not the same. Now return to the core principle. Lifestyle inflation is not a single event. It is a continuous process. It aligns spending with income in a way that prevents wealth accumulation. It feels like progress because living standards improve, but financially there is no movement forward. The system is stable but stagnant. Income increases, but financial position does not change. Over decades, this results in lost compounding, increased dependency on income, and reduced flexibility. The final point is simple. Wealth is not determined by how much you earn. It is determined by how much you keep and how effectively you invest it. Lifestyle inflation reduces the amount you keep. Therefore, it directly reduces your ability to build wealth. If income grows but spending grows at the same rate, nothing changes. If spending grows faster, the situation worsens. The only way to improve financial position is to maintain or increase the gap between income and expenses. That gap is where wealth is created. Once it disappears, no level of income is sufficient.